DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy, family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574 today. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
Keith Trubisky, Bucky good in the ball.
Santel, all the way to the basket, foul, lays it in for 2.
Hello, high school basketball fans. Welcome to the Upstate Hoops podcast here on Monday, December 23rd, 2024. Merry Christmas. A couple days away here from the big day on Christmas Eve edition of the Upstate Hoops podcast. I'm Jim Sinicropi along with Paul Russo and Kyle Evans here inside the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls. Today we'll be looking at all the action of the past week, and there was a lot of action, some surprises, a lot of surprises, which obviously is going to lead to some changes in our power rankings, our final edition of the power rankings of the, I don't know, we might have one more next week before the end of the year, before 2025 hits. But regardless, good show on tap here. The Upstate Hoops podcast and all of our coverage of Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball is brought to you thanks to the support of Little John and Barbie Orthodontics. Check out Dr. Rod and Dr. Liz online at littlejohnortho.com. Cicino's Pizzeria and Restaurant. Order online at cicinos.com. And DeSanto Propane. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane. And, tons of results this week to get to on the boys and girls side. But we were out for our first game of the year. Paul, you called the game with Nate Sharman in Geneva, Wayne, Geneva. And it looked like the same old Wayne. We thought Geneva, we think Geneva's pretty good. Thought they might give them a game, but Wayne too much.
Yeah, I think the final score doesn't really indicate what, at least to me anyway, what the game really was. Wayne just continues to kind of roll on. Obviously, can't blame Berkeley in the way there. Aiden Twist had another really good game as well. We talked with both of them post-game as well, which was nice.
Yeah, who was the player of the game? Cicino's player?
Cam and Aiden. We had both of them over for it. But,
who got the pizza?
Cam did. But
okay, so there's their first pizza.
We wanted to catch up with both of them. I mean, Aiden's had a really great opening few games, 31, 27, 27, and now 19 and 4 of the 5. So offensively speaking,
I think Aiden's their leading scorer right now.
Yeah.
If you did the averages.
Yeah, so pretty good stuff there. Geneva, I thought, played one of the best defensive games I think I've seen in a few years. And I'm being completely honest and serious when I say this. Caden Larson did a fantastic job pretty much the whole game guarding Cam Blankenberg. And really, for the moments where Geneva was trying to make a push, and I thought they were making a push to come back into the game, it was squarely on Caden Larson, especially on defense, and he was able to transition really, really well on offense. He had a couple steals. I mean, this is a Geneva team where they make a couple shots at certain points Friday night. I think we're having a really different discussion right now, but that's just the way sports are. I'm anticipating still talking about Geneva all year. I mean, it was a really great game. Sports are sports, right?
Yep.
You're going to go get everything to go your way.
Yep. And Kyle, you've obviously aggregating the results for Finger Lakes 1 every night, and it had to be a fun week. A lot of surprises, as we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah, I would say a lot of upsets, at least in my opinion. And then we saw 4 undefeated teams, 2 on each side. I think East Rochester off to a 6-0 start on the boys' side. Marcus Whitman girls 6-0. Of course, Wayne 5-0. And then the Lions girls are 4-0. So yeah, we've had a lot of league matchups this past week. A lot of close games. I mean, a couple 1-point girls wins in there. Just a lot of tight, good basketball to watch.
Yeah, let's get to the results here as we'll put it up on your screen here. The boys first. Clyde with a big win over Marion. East Rochester boys been one of the pleasant surprises of the early season in the Wayne County League, as you mentioned. Minders off to a rough start, trying to get a win at Geneva. Lost that game, lost 3 straight league games, then came back and won a couple games in Mid-Lakes and Gananda to get things rolling. Marcus Whitman boys off to a great start. They won at Livonia, as you can see there. And also a big surprise, at least as far as our power rankings are concerned, the Waterloo boys had a really nice week. Just easily handled Palmac at home. And then later in the week, you can see that they beat Newark 61-52 in Waterloo. So, when I look at the results of the boys here, as you see there on Saturday, Minders picking up that 73-59 win against Gananda and Seneca Falls. And the South Seneca boys off to a great start, too, I should mention. They got a 51-49 win against Sodus. But to me, looking at these results, other than the fact that Marcus Whitman boys continue to win, you got Red Jacket beating Bloomfield in the West. But Waterloo boys kind of, I don't want to call it shocking, but they beat Palmac and Newark, 2 of the top teams in the East, at least preseason-wise. Big week for the Tigers.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit it. I said last week that I thought Waterloo would drop a bit in the standings. I looked at their upcoming schedule and I thought it's going to be tough, and they shocked me going 2-0, and I think beating Palmyra was the biggest thing because they beat them so bad.
Yeah.
And the way the game ended, the way the fourth quarter panned out. So yeah, I was probably mostly impressed with them this week. But yeah, Whitman deserves a ton of credit, and I pushed them way up in my standings, and I think they're going to be.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to our power rankings this week because I think there's going to be some big changes. But Caraballo for Waterloo, obviously a great leader for that team. We may have underestimated the chemistry that these guys got going in Waterloo. Nolan, I mean, they're good athletes. And yeah, we definitely, I think, overlooked them, but probably not in this week's standings.
No, I think I had to adjust accordingly a little bit there as well. I mean, obviously Whitman been pretty high on as well, but yeah, I'll join Kyle. Raise my hand. Didn't think Waterloo we'd be still talking kind of about them in this way at this point either. But I mean, you kind of message them, right? I mean, when you got athletes essentially, right, at the bare worst as I call it, you're still gonna have a shot, right? I mean, that's the thing. And then you kind of look around a little bit and. Obviously, they've played together for a while, and I mean, if you were to tell me at this time last year that Waterloo would be where they're at, I kind of would be like, we'll see. But they've started off the year well. I hope they can continue this momentum through into 2025 as it stands right now, because this is a key stretch. I know we'll get to it in a little bit, but not every team plays an equal schedule over the course of the next 10 days. You know what I mean? Yep. Some do play games, some don't. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how it all shakes out.
But with the league, more than a handful of league games now under the belt, Waterloo atop the standings along with Wayne. They beat Palmac and Newark. Yeah. Minders 3 losses, so it's just a little bit of shake up there in the East. And speaking of Waterloo. Let's kick it over to the girls' side. Of course, Waterloo girls, one of the best programs over the past several years in the Wayne Finger Lakes, and they look poised to have obviously not only another winning season, but potentially sectional titles and beyond. Really had a great week. As did the Gananda girls. If we start on Monday night there, you see Gananda with a big win over the rival East Rochester. Who's been a little disappointing so far this year. Clyde Savannah beat Romulus, but Clyde, another surprise on the girls' side. And the Geneva girls, credit to them, they're building their program back up. But you got Newark girls with a win on Tuesday night, and then Waterloo over Palmac by 7. Marcus Whitman girls off to a great start as well, moving ahead to Wednesday. You see Clyde Savannah nipping Gananda. That's a huge game in Wayne County, and that was at Clyde. But they're Wayne County girls basketball, very interesting this season. You see the Lions girls getting another win on Wednesday night. And then Bloomfield really handing it to Minders in Seneca Falls. And then moving along later in the week, Marcus Whitman with a nice win over Red Jacket. South Seneca win over their rival Romulus. And then you see the second half of Waterloo's big week, defeating Newark in Newark by 60-59. Minders falling by 1 to Midlakes at home. And you see the Geneva girls picking up a win against Wilson Early College. Dundee Bradford with getting on the winning side. Palmac bouncing back with a win over Penn Yan. And another Marcus Whitman win over Avon. But Kyle, talk about this Waterloo girls team in the week they had. I mean, especially that close game against Newark, a very, very good Newark team.
Yeah, so I actually tuned in to see how that game ended, and something very bizarre happened. Newark was down 3. They had a layup to cut it to 1 with 7 seconds left. Waterloo inbounds the ball, and Newark doesn't foul. The girls just go around standing there. So their coach comes out, Newark's coach, and is putting her hands up like, what are you guys doing? And then there was about a 5-minute discussion about how much time should be left on the clock, because eventually they did get fouled. Come to find out, 0.2 seconds left, Waterloo holds on.
Yep, enough time.
So not knowing the situation, probably maybe costed them the game, but very competitive.
At least cost them a chance.
Yeah, very competitive, very impressed still with Newark despite being 2-2. And, for Waterloo to go and beat Palmac, too, in the same week, they deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah,
remember, they kind of started a little slow. Weren't they about 1, or I think they were 1-1, 1-2, and then now they're 5-2.
Yeah, it looked like maybe a little bit down, and then they just been on a tear since. But yeah, mistakes like that, game management decisions, or knowing situationally. Again, it's December, varsity basketball, a lot of people playing varsity for the first time. So hopefully that can be a lesson to learn, because you don't want to see something like that happen at the end of the year or in sectionals. So, pretty good week on the girls' side. A lot of interesting action, including Clyde Savannah.
Hey.
Kind of reasserting themselves. The Wayne County Girls League, you got Gananda, Clyde Savannah, Lions. That's it looks like a 3-way battle.
Yeah. I still think for now, put ER in there for the moment still. Maybe we'll hop off there. But yeah, I mean, we kind of mentioned it a little bit last week too with Clyde Savannah. I mean, here they are, just kind of adding themselves into the race. Taylor Carnivale, longest tenured member on that roster now, leading the way there. Through the week up there. So it's awesome to see, right? I mean, Clyde, we talk a lot, obviously, about Lions, right? But, down the road on 31-2 in Wayne County, Clyde Savannah has their own equally, for themselves, rich basketball history. So it's good to see that, especially on the girls' side, right? Them kind of coming back up a little bit here with it. And, for me, I had to adjust accordingly in the power rankings again this week. It's the smallest things where week in, week out, we're kind of now getting the feel of who we're actually going to probably be seeing long term here for the season. And, the Wayne County girls again, though, overall, we're looking like probably having another pretty good battle up there again for the second winter in a row.
And it's good with these power rankings, too. The teams that generally appear on the power rankings, those are sectional contenders. Our power rankings are across all classes and all leagues, and not all classes and leagues are equal, obviously. But if you find yourself, in the power rankings, especially at the top, it's a good sign that you're poised to make a sectional run in February and March. So without any further ado, let's get to the power rankings. What do you do, boys or girls first?
We're going to do girls first this week.
All right, mixing it up. And there you go. Waterloo, number 1. Unanimous, right?
Yep.
Yeah, how can you not be after you beat Newark and Palmac in the same week? And then Palmac, despite the margin of victory, still coming in at 2, our margin of defeat, I should say. And then you got Lions and Newark tied at 3. Lions girls waiting to see maybe a bigger test for them to see kind of if they're for real or not. Newark, don't expect it to be a trend with that loss to Waterloo, and they will play again later in the season. So we'll have that one circled. And then the Marcus Whitman girls, first team out of the West, coming in at 5th, followed up by what's perennially been the strongest team in the West, Dundee Bradford. And then the Bloomfield girls jumping into the rankings. They got a big win against Minders. That's another team. Like when you look at the Finger Lakes West girls this year, there's going to be a lot of battles going on in the West. Clyde Savannah 8th. Thought maybe they might sneak a little higher, and then Minders holding on, tied for 8th, and Gananda at 10th. Minders girls had a tough week, but when you look at this, these rankings, where we may have differed maybe is Palmac and Newark. I think I have a feeling we all had Marcus Whitman around 5th or 6th.
I personally had Whitman at 4 for me.
Okay.
But, I had the top 10. My top 10 was in the top 10, just varied kind of location-wise more than anything else. I think it was tough this week just because you had a lot of these teams playing each other and beating up on each other. And at that point, you have a lot of one and one weeks. So, where do you go with who properly fits where? And I think it's kind of the beauty of the way we kind of do the power rankings now anyway. Did want to shout out Mid-Lakes girls, Penn Yan girls. I had them as kind of honorable mentions, my first couple out, personally speaking. So
yeah, it's surprised to see Minders still ranked, honestly. They lost to Mid-Lakes. Jeff Ike coaching Mid-Lakes, former Janesville DeWitt boys coach and Waterloo grad. But yeah, like I said, it's the teams are playing each other now, and we're starting to get a feel for things. I do think, looking at those power ranks, I think Bloomfield will maybe rise a little bit over the next few weeks. They have some good size and a really strong team that should make some noise in sectionals this year. And, on the girls' side, Kyle, your thoughts on the girls' power rankings this week?
Yeah, I pushed Bloomfield up. I had them in about the middle of the pack. They beat Minders and Wayne. Their first 2 games were just tough, non-league games. They're going to be very good. Marcus Whitman, I love the start they have, but I'm basing it off their schedule. I think they don't have enough prove-it wins. You look at a lot of these teams, Red Jacket, Addison, Avon, Naples, they're all not good teams.
As far as we know, it's tough to tell with some of these out-of-league games, but you're right.
In fact, I think when they play Dundee Bradford beats them.
Bradford and Bloomfield, they'll be playing.
Yeah, so I think it'll change. I kind of had them lower than you guys. But if you're basing off just the record, yeah, you'd bump them up.
They're undefeated.
And then the Clyde girls, yeah, I moved them up to 9. I had them 10 last week. And in the 10th slot, I put Mid-Lakes just because they beat Minders.
Yep.
I had to give them credit, but I also would have – I wrote down these teams. Red Creek deserves maybe a little credit, honorable mention, but just not enough to put them in. Who else did I have? Penn Yan, they're 3-3. They beat Wayne, lost to Pelmac. Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything that we had up there. Maybe Lions, I think I had a little lower than you guys. I think, what did I have them, 4? I'm not sure what you got, or what was up there.
I think they were 3, right?
Yeah, they're tied 3rd.
Waterloo, Pelmac, Lions, Newark.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So basically mine's all the same other than that.
Yeah, I think, Clyde girls did play Lions once, and Lions handled them pretty easily, so it's tough to say that they're maybe in that same class. But as far as Wayne County goes, maybe second place team right now. Gananda, of course, will have something to say about that. So that's the girls' power rankings. Let's check out the boys. Of course, Wayne, undisputed number 1. Wow, Marcus Whitman up to number 2. Hey, I am not going to argue. I love that Marcus Whitman program, what Greg O'Connor does, and this is an experienced group of guys that know the system and run it well. And, Marcus Whitman number 2. Lions number 3. They've had some tough games, a tough schedule, but certainly hoping to see them improve. You could argue maybe 3 might be a little too high based on what we've seen so far from Lions, and you got an undefeated East Rochester team right behind them. Normally play Lions twice a year, back when Lions was in Wayne County. Then the Waterloo boys, second Finger Lakes East team to appear, edging out Newark, who they beat. And then you got Newark Geneva, Pelmac, Minders at 9, and Red Creek at 10. I think Red Creek undefeated, I believe, as well.
They finally lost. They lost to ER on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Or Friday, might have been. One of those days.
So, you might get some complaints from some other teams in the West are even Wayne County. Although Minders did beat Gananda pretty well, but Minders with 3 losses still holding on at 9. Pelmac really taking a drop after that Waterloo defeat, and Newark all the way out of the top 5. Now, a lot of the argument would be, well, geez, let's see Marcus Whitman play Newark, or let's see Lions play Geneva. I think Lions and Geneva will play, but on the other hand,
Lions and Whitman play as well coming up too.
yeah, Lions is playing Whitman.
As far as I know, I thought that was.
That'll be a good game. That'll be a good game. But Minders did travel to Whitman, and Whitman handled them easy. It wasn't even close in the fourth quarter. So, based on the action we've seen so far in the month of December, that's how it stands. And again, we will have one more ranking come out next Monday. Although a pretty light slate, although an odd slate of games.
Yeah.
With holiday tournaments coming up here. You got that line schedule up?
Yeah, they do play Marcus Whitman January 17th.
Okay. And where's that at?
It's in Whitman, I believe.
Wow. Yeah, that's one be a fun game. They've developed a little bit of a rivalry over the past few years, with honestly Whitman getting the better of them. So,
pretty sure that Geneva game's at Lions though, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to make one thing pretty clear on the power rankings side for the boys side, especially Wayne's the only team that we clearly anybody has a good grip on of where they should be.
Nobody's gonna argue.
I mean, it's one of those things where, and that's one of the key things where how we do the voting process is like when you have a gap from 1 to 2 where it's a 6-point gap, like that's a pretty big indication of 2 probably could be a case of give or take 3 teams.
Is anybody going to be Lions this year or Wayne this year in league?
I certainly still think it's possible.
Who would be the candidates? Newark, Geneva, Waterloo?
Maybe. I mean, I think tough part is now Geneva has to go to Wayne for that second game. So I'd like to think, like I said, it's playing the ifs and buts game.
Given night?
Yeah. I don't know. Hey, I still think Wayne probably is a de facto favorite. It's hard not to be with them at this point, but
yeah, you can almost hand them the league title. Of course, they're playing in a tougher division for sectionals, along with Geneva, and I think Newark's in there too. We do need to look at maybe next week with the light week. We'll start looking at classifications and early look at who's going to be in with who for sectionals.
The good news is all the standings are now up on the section website. So
nice. Yeah, so we're underway.
We got progress.
There is some different. The Bloomfield girls are in the East.
Yeah.
I keep saying West, but they are in the Finger Lakes East this year, which is odd. But you've seen that a little bit, bouncing back and forth, based on, and could partly see that you want the competition to be good to prepare your team. But on the other half, I just hate seeing teams bounce back and forth. Oh, we're good this year. We're going to play in the East. We're not good. We're going to go back to the West. Or the only case where I really felt good about it was when Lions went independent, because they were just had so many games in Wayne County that weren't helping them at all. But this year, I think between East Rochester, Gananda, I think it would have been and even Clyde's better. I think it would have been a little more competitive in Wayne County if Lions was still in that league.
Yeah, but I still don't. I don't hate it that the fact that they remained independent. I mean, they're going out. They're playing a pretty. I mean, we've already seen they're playing about as tough a schedule, probably more tough than even last year's schedule.
They're playing the toughest schedule I've seen Lions play in the past 15 years. Honestly.
I mean, it's kind of, frankly, it's kind of crazy. I told Kyle this a few days ago. And I know I mentioned it last week that I went to college near where Cathedral Prep is, who they played now 2 weeks ago. They were in Vegas this past weekend in another tournament. Like that should kind of show you the type of
they went to
stuff.
Cathedral Prep went to Vegas.
Yeah. Like it's kind of crazy the teams that they're trying to step out and go and play.
Yeah, and a couple notes on the Lions schedule. I pulled it up here. They're playing at Wayne and at Whitman in the same week in the span of 3 days.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And
January?
Yep, January 14th and 17th. 14th is the Wayne game. And then before that, they're playing East Rochester, so we'll see how good East Rochester is.
Yep.
And then actually this weekend, they're in a tournament up in Penfield.
Yeah.
It doesn't have who they're playing first, but I know like Newark is in it. I believe Rochester Academy.
Newark is in it.
So Newark
I have it-
Lions could play
I
in
have it written-
Penfield.
Yeah, I have it written down. Lions, Whitman, and Newark are all in that Penfield tournament together.
Amazing. With Penfield, I assume.
Yes, correct.
And Lions plays Canisteo Greenwood next or start the new year.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how good they are, but I mean, yeah, just looking at the schedule, it's way better than it ever was. It's tough.
Yeah,
Tougher.
so they might not end up, winning 20 games, but they might end up winning, sectionals and being more prepared for beyond sectionals.
And I know we're giving Lions some flowers here, but there's a lot of other teams. Give credit where credit's due. A lot of coaches now are stepping out and trying to get more of these, especially the smaller schools are trying to step out and get a couple more of like AA games potentially on the schedule.
If
So.
you're not in the Finger Lakes East, boys, for example, which that's a tough league schedule, but outside your league schedule, you only have like 4,
I believe
5
it's 4,
games to be able to schedule. So if you're in a tough league, sometimes maybe you don't want to schedule tough, but if you're in an easy league, you really need to use those opportunities to challenge yourself and play some competition that'll be more in line with what you face in a sectional, semifinal, or final. So speaking of schedule, let's take a look at the holiday week ahead here.
Yeah.
So on the boys' side, I love the South Seneca. I think the girls are also going over. The South end of Seneca County teams going and playing Schuyler County teams. I mean, they're close. South Seneca's closer to Watkins Glen, obviously, than they are from Waterloo or Seneca Falls.
South Seneca usually plays like Trumansburg, Hammondsport too a lot of the times.
Yeah, well, they're close down there. So you got some league games in Wayne County. North Rose, Wolcott, and Clyde getting on to playing Kalamum, huh? And some of these are tournaments. Rochester Academy playing Lions. So School of the Arts Newark. So some tournament action. It's a kind of confusing looking. You see a lot of TBAs because these teams are at tournaments.
Credit to that coach.
Yeah, and not every team's playing. You got in the middle of it though. Start coming back after the new year on Friday night. Palmac at Minders will be a pretty good game, as will Geneva at Newark. So right after the clock strikes midnight for 2025, we're coming back with some important league games, at least in the Finger Lakes East. You got Batavia at Newark as well. That's kind of an old rivalry. They've met in sectionals so many times. But let's take a look at the girls. And again, a little lighter, a lot of TBAs. Those are tournaments. And Odessa Montour, Dundee Bradford.
Minders is stepping out to play in that Watkins Glen tournament as well with South Seneca down in Watkins Glen.
They could use a win or two, and I think they could get 1 or 2 wins down there. And then you can see, too, after New Year's, we get back to a more normal schedule. Newark at Bloomfield. Pretty interesting game. And again, mentioned Bloomfield girls in the East now, so that's a league game. So they'll be playing Bloomfield twice, but real interested to see what happens there. And we were talking about Marcus Whitman maybe lackluster schedule so far. Well, now they are going to host Dundee Bradford on Friday night after the New Year. And, it's Lions, Notre Dame, Batavia. Who knows about that? Minders, Palmac, Pena, and Waterloo. So got tournaments. And then again, we're going way out, a week further with this schedule a week ahead because it's obviously a lighter schedule over the next few days with Christmas.
Yeah. Just want to make note, Newark girls, they play Central Valley Academy. Don't know who they are, but that game's over at Utica at the Nexus Center, the same complex as, I don't know what it's technically called now, but the War Memorial. Shout out to Slapshot, tremendous movie.
Utica.
Yep. Yeah. So, gotta like that one. I got a little smirk out of Kyle on that one. I'm happy that
Hanson brothers will probably not be on site though.
Probably for the best. I forgot to mention on the boys' side, we did collectively. Whitman beat Batavia earlier this week as well.
Yeah.
Nice little step out game there. I'm pretty sure, as far as I know, Buddy Brasky's still the coach over in Batavia too and everything.
I have no idea, but last time I called a Batavia game, it was in sectionals. Batavia against Newark. It was actually in Newark, and Buddy Brasky was the coach.
So, yeah, pretty interesting. I know we're talking about schedules and stuff like that. So there's another one right there. to keep an eye. Well, that we should have kept more of an eye on, probably.
So I don't know if we're going to do a podcast next Monday, but we're getting new power rankings out. But maybe not actually have a podcast. But there will be a lot of games this coming weekend, a lot of tournament games to keep an eye on. And so, yeah, we'll release our new power rankings, but we're probably not having an episode of Upstate Hoops next Monday.
Yeah.
Sound fair enough?
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough on our end, too, because, tournaments are a little bit weird. It's easier for us when we were able to do this, right? We can watch stuff pretty much locally in terms of, we know what schools have what technology-wise. These tournaments, sometimes they'll paywall them so you can't even see them.
Or they might not even stream them if they're in some odd locations.
Yeah.
But certainly it's been great sitting in the comfort of my own home watching, bouncing around to different webcasts and checking out games for sure. Other than that, no podcast next week. Check with your local affiliates.
There you
go. So before we get out for the holidays, any parting shots, fellas? Anything that's really to me what stood out was primarily was the idea that maybe the Waterloo girls weren't going to be as good because of that early loss, and then the Waterloo boys were a total afterthought. But here we are now, a couple days before Christmas, and we got Waterloo girls number 1 in our power rankings, Waterloo boys 5th in the boys side after being like not even on the radar. So we'll see if they can continue that, especially from the boys side. The girls not such a huge surprise, but the boys a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
So anything for you guys that really stood out so far this season as we head into the Christmas holiday?
Well, like the true college football fan I am, I overreacted probably a little bit on some teams like Waterloo boys, for example, and then having to come back around. But, I think it's pretty telling once again, kind of, I'll call similarities between a lot of the boys to the girls programs, right? Waterloo, good example, right? Palm-Mac's another pretty good example. Whitman, Lions, could go running on here. Minders still, it's interesting how if one side's good, now you're seeing both sides kind of be good, Yeah. That wasn't always necessarily the case.
Credit to Liz Royston and Marcus Whitman, because they were struggling when she took over, and each year they've gotten a little bit better. We'll see if they can maintain that. But it is kind of shocking also to see Marcus Whitman boys as high in our power rankings as they are. Smaller school. We'll see if they can keep going with their winning ways. And again, when they get into sectionals, they'll be playing schools their own size. Although I'm not sure if they're. Again, we'll check out. Whenever our next episode is, we're going to check out classifications.
Whatever. Math is hard. Whatever it is, 1-6, right? Or 1-7? Yeah, no, 1-6. 1-6.
January 6, 2025.
Yep.
Okay, Kyle, parting shots. Big surprises this year. Anything stand out?
I think it really is just the boys' Finger Lakes East just being so wide open, and a team can beat any team on any given night. Like I know we talked about earlier, is Wayne going to lose one of these league games? I mean, honestly, the way it's gone, they could.
Yeah, I think I do think they'll drop one somewhere along the ways. I don't think that Wayne is dominant where we can just pencil them in. We think they're the best team, but I don't think they'll go through the league schedule unscathed. Somebody will get them.
Yeah, and I think for the girls, I'm very high on the Bloomfield girls. I think they're going to continue to shoot up in maybe the top 5 by the time we get back for the 6th.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the Minders girls have just been. I know they've lost players, but I'm just kind of shocked that the way they're playing. They're 1-3. I know they have a new coach, but I also don't think they're going to continue to lose at this rate. I still think they'll win enough games to be competitive.
Okay, well, we'll see. And speaking of, Wayne maybe losing a game in the league, the Minders boys who've lost to Geneva, Palmac, who was their third loss?
Whitman.
Whitman. So they came the closest to beating Wayne.
That's not league, I guess, technically, but yeah.
Yeah, but they came the closest to beating Wayne.
Yeah.
They actually had them. So that's why we play the games, boys. So anyways, all you basketball fans out there, parents, coaches, aunts, uncles, grandparents, players on the boys and girls side, Merry Christmas. Enjoy. A lot of these schools probably have Christmas Day off, but they might be practicing the day before, Christmas Eve and the day after. A lot of practicing and then some tournament action. Good luck out on the road at all these tournaments. And, to you guys, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
Christmas.
Just keep on tracking the Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball here on fingerlakes1.com. So check the website or app for the results every night and morning, and we'll have them for you. So really thankful for you joining us again on the Upstate Oost Podcast. Connect with us on Facebook, X, TikTok. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Our audio-only podcast is available everywhere you enjoy your audio content. You can find our show, live stream games, and local news, weather, and sports 24/7 on the free fingerlakes1.com Android or iPhone app. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back on January 6th at 2 o'clock. Until then, happy holidays.